Welcome back to the Diana Plus Show with your guest host, Hal Shurtleff of Camp Constitution, and my guest co-host, Isabel Adams from...
Ware, New Hampshire.
Ware, New Hampshire, and the organization is...
Brave Enough to Fail.
Brave Enough to Fail. And on the line, we have Wayne Winsley, who is the CEO and founder. How you doing, Wayne? Oh, hey, Wayne. How you? Well, anyway, when Wayne comes back, now you have to fill in for Wayne.
Oh, boy.
So tell us about, first off, a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with Brave Enough to Fail.
Well, I am Isabel Adams. I'm 19 years old. I am a native of New Hampshire, and I got involved in Brave Enough to Fail by a short story contest. And what was that?
That means he's calling back. So you're
okay.
doing well. Go ahead.
And when I actually won the short story contest, and then a couple weeks after, Mr. Winsley contacted me and asked me to be his editor of his newsletter. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Yes. I jumped all over it.
Great. Well, Wayne, are you back with us?
I am back, Hal. Thank you.
We have this outstanding young lady that's in the studio here with us, Isabel Adams, and she actually was filling in for you. So you can go ahead and hang up. We'll just interview Isabel. What do you think?
Okay. Madam Editor, you take it away.
No, I'm kidding.
Hi, Mr. Winsley.
How you doing?
Good.
I was telling Isabel that this is the first time she's been on the radio. She's doing a fine job, and when she becomes a world-famous talk show host a few years from the road, she'll fondly remember her days at WSMN. So,
absolutely.
So, Wayne...
I was listening to the previous segment, by the way, and Isabel, you're doing a fine job.
Oh, thank you.
So, Wayne, I think I met you on the campaign trail when you ran for Congress, and just met you a few days ago. I mean, had a nice meal with you down in Concord, Connecticut, where you're from. But tell us a little about your background and what got you to become the founder of this incredible organization.
Absolutely. Well, to give you a little background, I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a nutshell. I'm a product of a single parent out of Cleveland, Ohio. Not my mother or my grandmother, but I was raised by my great-grandmother.
Wow.
And yes, and I tell students, the woman that raised me was born in 1911.
Wow.
And she raised me until she couldn't take care of me anymore. I ended up in the social welfare system. And along the way, I failed 8th grade the first time around, and the second time around in 8th grade, I pretty much gave up on school. I all but dropped out. If you add up the days that I went to school that year, stayed all day without skipping a class, it would add up to about 2 weeks. So I was this 14-year-old black kid walking around the streets of Cleveland, Ohio, shoplifting to live and to eat and things like that. A lot of days I didn't know where my next meal was coming from, but I was on a fast track to one of two places, prison or the cemetery.
The cemetery, yeah.
And what changed for me was a message that I inadvertently heard. The person wasn't even talking to me. A friend of mine, his dad, was talking to him about his report card. He was disappointed with his report card, and he said to his son, his name was Rick, he said, Rick, always strive for excellence. I don't care what you do, but be excellent at something. Excellence will overcome poverty, prejudice, and adversity every time.
That's right.
And for whatever reason, you know, I told kids, I was standing over in the corner trying to be invisible, you know, that awkward moment where you're at your friend's house and your buddy's getting yelled at by his parents and you're trying to be invisible. Well, that was me. But I heard those words, and for whatever reason, they stuck with me. I believe firmly that God was talking to me that day.
That's amen. I'd say a hearty amen to that, Wayne. I think that's exactly what that was. Yeah.
And because of that message, I made a choice. I decided to go back to school, go back to class, and really work at it. Because I made that choice, my life changed. It was tough. You know, I'd been not paying attention in class and for the better part of a year, but I managed to graduate. I served my country honorably in 2 tours in the United States Navy, went on to become to enjoy a 20-year career as a radio broadcaster, and was blessed enough to be chosen and nominated to run for U.S. Congress in the state of Connecticut, where I met one Hal Shurtleff. on the campaign trail. So I'm living proof that a message can change the trajectory of a child's life. And that's why I've dedicated the rest of my life to making sure as many folks, as many young people get this message as possible.
Well, enemies of freedom have long said, whether it be Hitler or Lenin or Stalin or others, give me the children. And I don't care what you say, because I will control the future. I think Lenin may have said, give me the children and I will sow seeds that will never be uprooted. And Hitler had the same attitude. Hitler said something to the effect that, because he said it in German, but he said, it doesn't matter what you have to say. I have the children and we have control. And, having control over what's being taught and what's being thought and what's being read, they dictate the future.
Well, I like to say it this way. Our children's dreams are the future of America.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And, I'm listening to your previous guest, great Americans, and Dr. Duke said the public schools have become a liberal indoctrination center in many cases, and Brave Enough to Fail counters that by honing in on the one thing that's almost impossible for socialism, communism, totalitarianism to stamp out, and that's this: the God-given desire of individuals to achieve their dreams.
So tell us. So tell us about when you founded Brave Enough to Fail, and what kind of things that your organization does. Besides appoint this remarkable young lady as an editor of your newsletter.
Absolutely. Brave Enough to Fail is a student motivational program that provides free presentations and scholarships to high schools. One of the things that I learned, and I'm also an educator myself now, I've been teaching middle school history for the past 6 years, but one of the things that we've learned is educators are desperate for anything that will get more students to invest themselves in their own education. And the schools that need things like that the most, especially many of our struggling inner city schools, our underperforming schools, they have zero money to pay for stuff like that. So being the capitalist that I am, I saw a problem and I came up with a solution. We provide our motivational presentation to students. Our keynote presentation is Be the Boss of Your Dream. We simply let kids know that you and your dreams are important. You are unique, and in all of human history, your fingerprint, your DNA has never occurred before in human history, and it never will again after, which means you can touch the world in a way that only you can. But you have to have the courage to go after the dreams that are in your heart.
And what's the Bible say? You are fearfully and wonderfully made, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that is the crux of our message. But since we're in the public school system, I just don't say God.
Right.
But that is the message.
Now, Isabel, you won an essay contest?
Short story contest, yeah.
What was your short story about?
It was historical fiction about a young Indian girl, Native American, a coming-of-age story where she had to prevent her tribe from going to war with another tribe and try to come to a peaceful solution with the help of the spirit of an ancient warrior who passed down his honor and his abilities to this young girl. Because, I don't know if I alluded to it in the story or not, it's been a while since I've reread it, but he had the ability kind of to just make a big situation kind of temper it down, have the ability to kind of calm people down and make them see sense, which is something that's actually desperately needed today.
That's correct. So,
absolutely.
And so how many schools have you been in over the years? And how old is your organization?
We got our 501c3 in October of 2015. So we're still a baby nonprofit, but we've already spanned the country. We've been as far, we're based in New Milford, Connecticut, but we've been as far away as Grandview, Washington.
Wow.
In Washington State.
That's the other side of I-90, right? Interstate 90.
And we've visited West Virginia, Georgia, Massachusetts, obviously here in Connecticut, New Jersey. Right now, we have a waiting list of schools and school districts across 26 states that would like the Brave Enough to Fail program.
And let's say that there's a some parents are listening that might be interested in prodding their students' teachers. What can they do to help make that happen?
They can obviously make a donation. We're a nonprofit at braveenough2fail.org. But they can get the word out. Local businesses, their businesses, their employers, things like that. Let people know, support this organization. Our mission, quite simply, is increasing student achievement by inspiring young people with the courage to pursue their dreams. And we have an overarching mission, if you will, Hal, because I love America. And I want to leave it even better than when I found it.
Well,
by increasing student achievement, what we're doing, we're strengthening America by cultivating a new generation of leaders, creators, and achievers.
One of the most important things that we, as parents and grandparents, is to pass that torch of liberty and knowledge and understanding to the next generation, because it just takes one generation, then it'll be gone.
Right.
And so, parents out there listening, what are you doing to actually? Where's your legacy of liberty? You might buy Mark Levin's books on Amazon. That's not enough. Listening to talk radio is a good start because you get great information, but just listening to talk radio isn't enough. Just reading books isn't enough. It's getting out there, getting that shoe leather worn out, and working with guys like Wayne and myself and many others that are trying to make it and have some success and great impact. Now, you happen to be 19 years of age, and you probably, because you're a believing Christian, and you were going to a public school at one time?
I've actually never been to any sort of school except for in my house. So my kitchen table was my school desk.
Well, you know something? I told all my children that you'll never set foot in a public school, but that wasn't true, because there was a church service being held at a public school, and we went in there on a Sunday. But you know something? There are some good people in public schools, and last year we donated. We had a chance to donate 1,200 constitutions to the Concord, New Hampshire Public School Department.
Oh, wow.
And so we and I actually spoke to a 5th and 6th grade group, two groups in I think it was Litchfield, Connecticut, about 4 or 5 years ago. And the lady who invited me, she was the head of the parents teachers group, and she said, "Hal, I'm pulling my children out this is the last year because of Common Core, but I want to get my licks in. I want to invite you." And I was able to speak to two groups, some parents there too, on the Constitution. I brought my friend Tom Moore, who he strums his guitar at Campfire. We sang the Constitution song. The first time we did it, the group wasn't too enthusiastic, but we actually closed it with it. We, the people of the United States of America. It's really nice. And we handed out constitutions to all the students and the parents, and we challenged the parents as much as the youngsters too. And it was very gratifying. And that was the last time I was ever invited back. But I said, when you talk about the Constitution, it's impossible not to say about the founders' worldview. And it was not atheist. They weren't Muslims. They weren't pantheists. They weren't Sikhs. They were Christians. And so we use the term Judeo-Christian because Christianity got started from the Jewish tradition, and we use the Old Testament, or what we call the Old Testament, the Jews call the books of Moses and the
Torah,
prophets. The prophets. So you have to. It's almost impossible not to teach history without mentioning God in it. So we were able to do some of that, and the concept of absolutes. And when the founders wrote something, they pretty much meant what they said in the Constitution. And if you don't understand some of the language, this is a little archaic, it's easy enough you go to your little smartphone and put in that archaic word. It'll give you a pretty good working definition if you have a trouble with a few of them. But the term shall not sounds pretty clear-cut to me, whether it was said 240 years ago or was said today. Shall not. Congress shall not. It's pretty simple. So give us some examples of some of the essays you've received over the years.
Oh my gosh! Well, you're talking about two different things.
Okay.
for the short story contest, which Isabel was the winner of our 17 and under category, is really just that. They're fiction short stories that are sent in by students, by adults, because there's 2 categories all across the country. And we're in the midst of one right now, which is going to wrap up on June 15th. So if you want to enter, and the prize is $1,000 for the best short story submitted by an author 17 and under, $1,000 for the best short story submitted by an adult 18 or over. And it's 10,000 words or less, any genre except erotica, and you have a chance to win. Now, the essays, which we do get, go with our scholarship, because in addition to giving a message of empowerment and inspiration and motivation and personal freedom to students, what we also do is we give 5 $1,000 scholarships that are designated to the students at the schools that we serve. So, and part of the qualifying process for those are essays, an essay telling us what's your dream, what's your plan to get it, and what are some obstacles that you have to overcome or have overcome. And I have to tell you how some of those essays are just profound. Just this past, we've given away $17,000 worth of scholarships, and many of those young people are first-generation college students in their family.
Interesting.
One of our winners is going to an Ivy League school. Her parents are refugees, former refugees from Cambodia. She's a first-generation English speaker, and she just wants to make enough to help her family to be a good, solid American family. We have a young man whose parents are from Jamaica, and same thing. These are heartwarming stories of young folks who want to work hard and achieve the dreams that God's put in their heart. And we're in the position to try and help them achieve those dreams. So, you hear the term snowflakes a lot these days. Our politically correct, socially delicate, socialist indoctrinated snowflakes. Well, ladies and gentlemen of America, you want to counter that? You counter that by igniting sparks. Mm-hmm. Each student that we reach ignites a spark of ambition for life, self-determination, and the pursuit of dreams. And I hope that sounds familiar to you.
Yeah, can I use that? That sounds good. I like that. Can I use it?
You can make that into a T-shirt, Mr. Winsley.
Yes. But that's what we're doing. If you want to help turn the tide in America, this is an organization that is actually planting seeds of liberty and achievement in the public school system to counter all that other stuff. Without saying so, Hal, we're offering our students a proposition. We're asking a question without saying it in these exact words. But what we're saying is, why settle for what the government might hand you when you can get much more by using what God's already given you?
Mm-hmm. Isn't that nice? Amen to that too. Yeah, yeah. So now, where are you going to go from here? What do you have any goals? Actually, you need more help. I mean, not just financial help, which is important, but you actually need more boots on the ground.
Yes, like I said, we have a list of schools and requests across the country, 26 states in all. So, in addition to our summer fundraising goal, we're trying to raise $650,000 to help us deliver this program nationwide, but also we need a network of folks getting the word out and letting people know in the communities, like-minded Americans who are interested in preserving the freedoms that we enjoy, let them know so they can get the word out and support this organization in any way they can.
Let me challenge the listeners and the viewers who might be living in Greater Nashua or watching this on Facebook or on YouTube or Podomatic, as we will put them up in the next few days. We have people from all over the United States that have time Some of you might be retired, semi-retired, or you may know somebody that has the ability to replicate what Wayne is doing. Please step up to the plate and help this man's important work. You can turn off the baseball game. I don't think Tom Brady's going to be too upset if you miss a football game. In fact, he actually gave me permission, to let people know that you don't have to watch the football. I'm kidding, of course.
I'm a huge Tom Brady fan.
Yeah,
You can still have time for your football and your recreation, but you also have time to save this country and save the next generation of young people.
Absolutely. Let me make it a little bit more immediate for some of your listeners. Two of the schools that we would like to visit in the next school year, the 2019-2020 school year, Nashua High School and John Stark High School. Isabel, you might know where that is.
That's like 5 minutes from my house!
John Stark's one of my heroes, by the way. You know who John Stark is, right?
Yes, I do know.
One of my heroes. Yeah.
So we are really trying to reach as many folks as we can. We've already brought this message to over 10,000 young people, and there's so many more that we can reach. We just have the resources and the support, both monetary, but also, as you said, boots on the ground, volunteers helping us coordinate as we move into different communities.
Okay, so how can the millions of listeners and viewers get a hold of you? You do actually, you have a YouTube channel, correct?
Yes.
And please
subscribe
to it and share the videos that you see on the Brave Enough to Fail YouTube channel. And how else?
Our website, obviously, braveenoughtoffail.org. And I will give my email, which is simply wayne@braveenoughtoffail.org.
Okay. Isabel, do you have any concluding remarks before we take a break and go to our next guest?
Oh goodness, I don't know.
Well, as a young lady, what would you tell people at your age group why they should be involved?
Oh, one, because it's a great program, not just because I am a part of it. It's just because I firmly believe in the cause of what they're doing, because I know for me, sometimes I struggle, like I said, especially with math. Me plus math equals puddle. But...
You want to hashtag that?
Yeah, hashtag puddle. But it's great because we're trying to motivate. I always try and motivate my brothers to stay in school, because you know what? There's no other country that people risk their lives in other countries to go to school. Here we have the most freedom to go to school, and it's like available anywhere. You can go, you can Google stuff, and you can learn stuff. We have the most education, but very seldom do we take a part in it, because we're just like, oh, it's boring, or oh, it's not my forte, or and it's you have to go and do stuff. But I would encourage people my age to try and influence your younger generation for good, because the more that we don't, the worse it will get, and then ultimately it'll be our fault for not saying anything while we had the chance. Okay,
Wayne, thank you so much, and that's braveenoughtoffail.org.
Hal, thank you so much.
God bless
Isabel,
you.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, Mr. Winsley.
Okay, we'll be taking a short break. You've been listening to the Diana Ploss Show on WSMN 1590 AM, Nashua's best show for